lesson, this Sunday school lesson coming from the Ida Harris Sunday School class with me, myself, Reverend Williams, teaching it this morning. And our lesson this morning is overcoming self-interest. Overcoming self-interest. Our key verse comes out of Luke, the 6th chapter, verses 27 through 28. And it reads, I say unto you, which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. Very good lesson this morning, something that we all can take something from. And I hope that we all get an understanding this morning, because the lesson aim points at three things. It tells us, number one, explore Jesus' teaching about what it means to love our enemies. Number two, reflect on times when you felt hate towards others and were hated by others, and engage in ways to love your enemy. It tells us, seek out a way that you can love your enemies and reflect on how you hated other folks and how other folks hated you. And in doing that, it would drive us to the place of understanding the love that God has for us and how he expects us to love others in spite of. Our first lesson aimed this morning, a reflection, comes from refuse to retaliate. Refuse to retaliate. Lesson 6, Luke 6, 27 through 31. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. And unto him that smiteth thee on one cheek, offer also the other, and him that taketh away thy cloak, forbid not to take thy coat also. Give to every man that asketh of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not to again. In verse number 31, which is a very important verse, it says, and as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. Just think, if we lived in a world where we could use that concept, or that concept was being used, what a beautiful world it would be. As we reflect on this lesson today, and I want you to just think in yourselves, what if the world was like me? What type of world would it be? Here in our lesson today, Jesus taught his disciples to intentionally behave directly opposite to the tradition that had been taught, that were misinterpretations of an addition to the law. He wanted us to operate totally different from that which had been taught and from that which we see. It says, for a people, he's speaking to those that were being hated and being mistreated. He's speaking to those folks that was under persecution and had witnessed and suffered hatred by the hands of others for no reason at all. And I know it sounds paradoxical and unbefitting for us to love our enemy, but that is what he's expect us to do. And he's using the Jews as an example. For a people that were shafted under a cruelty of the Romans, this went against the norm, the moral ethics of the Jews. In their nationalistic views, this teaching was considered paradoxical, or if not immoral. It's crazy what he's saying, to love those who despitefully use you, or love your enemy. It was something crazy. But this is what God expects out of us. It shows his virtue in us when we do opposite of what tradition has taught us, or what is expected of others. I know you heard the phrase, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but that is not what the lesson teaches us. It teaches us that if he takes my eye, I should give him the other one. You know? Because in doing so, we live up to the creed that God has so called us to do, loving one another and expecting the better out of others. It says, however, Jesus required for his followers are always radical and seem to go against the grain of the status quo, along with refraining from hostile acts. Followers of Christ's love must also express it in words. They are expected to bless rather than to curse and pray for those who mistreat them. That's what it said. Refusing to retaliate. In spite of what you're going through, refuse to retaliate. Because vengeance, the Bible declares, belongs to the Lord. So in spite of what others might be doing to you, in spite of what has happened to you in time past, our job is to love them in spite of and allow God to deal with that matter, not us. Even in that sense, God will take care of us. The second thing, what do you think? Jesus commanded us to show kindness to our enemies. What are some examples of how he modeled this for us? Just think about it. Some of the samples of how Jesus modeled loving our enemies or being kind to our enemies. What did Jesus do to his enemies? How he reacted to the hatred that was spewed at him? How did he confront those who talked down to him or did him dirty? When you think on those things and get an understanding of what Jesus did, it helps you better deal with what you're going through. And then what it also do, it leads us to our second point. It causes us to emulate what our Father has done for us. Verses, King James Version, 32 to 36 read, for if ye love them which love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them. And if you do good to them which do good to you, what thank have ye? For sinners also do even the same. And if ye lend to them of whom ye hope to receive, what thank have ye? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love you, verse number 35, but love ye your enemies and do good and lend hoping for nothing again, and your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest, for he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. Be ye therefore merciful as your Father also is merciful. These verses teach us that when we do the things that is required of us, God will take care of us. There's no slack in his promise. He will do exactly what he said. All we have to do is stand on his promises, act on his promises, not only love in words, but love in deeds. You know, don't just speak love, but do it. You know, it's easy to say I love you or whatever the case may be, but when you begin to act out in love, it shows up much better. And then what it also does, cause your enemies to have a different look at you or even a different look at what they're doing towards you. Jesus points out that they love those who love them. They repay good deeds done to them, and they lend possibly even without interest when they are sure they will be repaid. We do these things when we know we're going to get something in return. But when we do it not expecting nothing in return, we are more like Jesus in his walk here on earth. So my closing thought to you today is, what does God want most from his children? Jesus taught that what it requires is the visible demonstration of righteousness that exceeded the world and its motivation by unconditional and self-sacrificing love. For all, including our enemy, God is the supreme model of this expectation of loving one's enemy. He gave his son as the sacrifice for our sin while we were yet enemies. We cannot afford to do less. That ends our Sunday school lesson for this Sunday morning. We thank you, and may God bless you and richly reward you when you be kind to those who are not kind to you. Thank you.